Okay, so got the clutch side done, and man, made a hell of a mess. I decided to change the pickup hose, and then the two lines that they go up to the manual oiler, and I don't know, it doesn't seem to be pumping very well. So I don't know if there's something inside that manual, pump. The diaphragm or something's got a hole in it. I don't know. I gotta open it up and have a look. But we're gonna move on to the flywheel side. Remove the coil to get it out of the way, and I take the flywheel nut off. The exact same thing. Well, if you watched the last video, if you're picking up this as a new video, put the starter rope down in it as the piston's coming up, turn it, stuff it in there. And then you can turn the nut. This can be very tight. Keep all that stuff together. Alright, get those off. Put them back up here in the way. Okay, so here we are, just finishing up mounting the puller here. So we got the pawls out, we got the nut just on the end of the crankshaft, and just lining up the puller here. And yeah, not the most exciting thing to watch here, so just kind of editing through it and trying to focus on the stuff that's important. The puller on again, just trying to tighten everything up. You got to block the piston again, so we're putting the rope down in. Same process as before, and we can go ahead and just tighten down the screws. I guess I should have done a close-up on the actual puller itself. Just check and make sure you're lined up straight before you start really cranking on that main screw in the middle. So basically it presses in against the end of the crankshaft, and here I got a big adjustable wrench, big enough to probably do some damage, so you got to be careful when you're doing this.
and just watching to make sure that that thing is going straight into the crankshaft, because if you don't have it lined up right, then you can be off center and then you won't be pulling straight. And then once you start to get some resistance, you just gotta kind of go by feel. You don't want to over tighten it. But she's got to be good and tight. And this flywheel turned out to be a bit of a fiasco. I knew it was going to be, but it was a little more challenging than I had really anticipated. Oh boy, this flywheel is being stubborn. I got this poor puller maxed out. I got about as much pressure put on that thing as I'd want to. Hey. I don't know what it is about these Pioneer saws, but the flywheels are really difficult to get off. So we'll just keep working away at it, but I've been using the torch to heat it. I don't know. This one's being really problematic. I said that puller, it's pulled a lot of flywheels, so I know it's got enough strength in it, but holy cow, I got that head just beat all to pieces. Just keep working away at this one. Sometimes they take a little longer than others, and this one's no exception. Whew. Fun. All right, still going to war with this gosh darn flywheel. I'm telling you, I've worked on a number of these Pioneer saws, P50s, farm saw, P40. They all have, extremely difficult flywheels to remove. I don't know what the hell the deal is with them. I'm, at the point here now where I might actually just have to I might have to remove this and take a look and see what's going on. I don't think I can tighten it in anymore. I'm not comfortable with doing that. You could damage the end of the crankshaft if you put too much force on the end of it. And also, banging and smashing on it isn't any good for it either, I'll be honest. So the longer that you're working away at these and smashing on them, the more likelihood of doing some kind of damage to them. So this has already been more of a process than I care to have on a saw like this. The last thing you want to do is damage a P60 crankshaft. But you got to get the darn thing off somehow. So enough is enough here. Where the hell did I put my lighter? The tricky side to get off. And in most cases, that should be the flywheel should, an awful lot of flywheels in my life, I'll be honest with you. That's a lot of pressure. That's a lot of pressure. That's a lot of pressure. That was a battle. Like, that was a lot of pressure. I'm actually a little bit scared to see exactly what the end of this crankshaft looks like. Like, that's a, what is that? 15-inch, adjustable wrench. That's a lot of pressure. A lot of pressure. And that puller, I'm telling you, man, a lot of people badmouth these little pullers. This is from that, what is it, Cheap Chainsaw Parts. The guy over in the West Coast makes these up and sells them. You can use a steering wheel puller. When this one finally, this is the second one I've gone through in a number of years. And whenever this one finally, gives up the ghost, I'm going to go ahead and just get a steering wheel puller. Because I've heard that they work really well. I think it's Tinman uses them. And others as well. That's what I'll be going with next. It still doesn't want to come off. Holy smokes. Was that ever a battle? And like, I don't see like a bunch of corrosion or anything on here. I guarantee that's been on there since the saw was new though. Again, like I said, you got to be careful when you're doing this. You end up doing more damage than what you want to do. And I got some scuff marks in under here. Nothing too major. Anyhow, I'll take that as a victory. We won. It was hard-earned. But we got it. All right, now to go blow off the saw. There's a bunch of sawdust and crud that gets in there. Go blow that off, and then we're good to go ahead and pull that seal out and put in a new seal. Thank God that's over with. A lot of people can't. Okay, so we're gonna get that that oil seal out, and again, same as the other side. If you watch the other video, it's the same thing. I use my process is maybe not the best process, but this is the one that I've been doing now for a while, and it gets me where I need to go. So first thing I do is a little pokey, pricky thing. Start and make a hole. Ooh, and there was something else I liked. Yeah, it was this. So the tools I use is a little pokey thing, and then I got this screwdriver that I ground down to a point so I can kind of stick that end into the seal and then pry up and pop them out. They don't work. It doesn't work on every seal. With other seals, I got to use, stuff like this, get creative. I don't have a perfect process. But on these ones here that are flush, there's lots of space. It's not recessed down into the case at all. This works pretty good. So if you're going to take these things out, if you've never done one before, take your time. You can't be in too much of a rush with doing this. If you are, then you're just going to end up scratching up these surfaces. You don't want to scratch up the case surface, and you don't want to scratch up the crankshaft. So take your time. If you put a big gouge in the case, then it may not seal properly when you put in the new oil seal. It's got to be a nice flat mating surface. You could, I suppose, put some gasket maker in. I've done that before. And that might work. It also might not. All right, so we got the seal is distorting. I'm okay with that. Just try and make a hole here away from the crankshaft and not too far into the case. So now I got a little hole. I'm going to start tapping this in. And then I'm going to put this set of pliers in here for leverage. And then this should pop right out. This is going to be, well, I'm not going to celebrate too soon because that's when you end up eating your words, but I think this one's going to be fairly easy. Again, just take your time when you're popping these out. Yeah, that's it. It's out. That was one of the easier ones that I've done. Now, I don't know if this really need to be changed out or not. I didn't pressure test the saw, but, you know, for peace of mind, I'm just going to do it. As long as you take your time, you're not going to do, you know, much harm to it. It's a good opportunity to try and get in here with some brake clean and clean stuff up a little bit. Being careful not to get a bunch of grime and dirt down into here. That's what you're trying to avoid. And I was going to bring some Q-tips down because I used them all up. Q-tips are nice for stuff like this and smaller spaces. This will work as well. Get that crap out of there. Burnt up oil or carbon or whatever it is. It gets probably oil stuck on the bearing. And I'm going to say that's good. Looks good to me. And my oil seal. There she be. Sleeve. Make a cone out of it. First of all, I want to put a little grease. You could use oil. You could probably use nothing, but I always put a little bit of grease because I saw somebody else do it. So like a sheep, I'm just going to follow that guy, whoever that was. I don't even remember now. And the idea was that it holds in the garter spring. Maybe. And you don't want to put like a ton of stuff in here. That's not what you're going for. You just want to put in a little bit against the spring. Just, it might help hold it in. Because you don't want that spring popping out of place. Now there's actually no step in this crankshaft. So I don't even think I actually need that cone. That wouldn't really do us any good. In this case, yeah, on this side it's just tapered the whole way down. So I'm not even going to bother putting that cone in there. That's going to do nothing for me. There's nothing to get caught up on the lip and pop that spring out, so not even going to bother with it. This is going to be a quick and easy one. Famous last words, right? I shouldn't be saying those things. That's what gets you in trouble. And take a little bit of time just to make sure that you get things started straight as possible. If they're not, take the 5 seconds and make it right. I used to kind of rush into this and know that they were starting a little bit crooked and just go for it anyway. And if you get them crooked enough, they'll bind up and you'll wreck the seal. Just kind of lightly started. I mean, it's really hard to get them perfect, especially with grease on it, you know. That's it. big washer that'll clear is about the same size as the outside of the seal. Bigger is better because then it spreads out that pressure a little bit more when you're driving it in. And again, if you didn't watch the last video, this is my tool. I bought from Home Depot. It's like, you know, a couple bucks. I've used it an awful lot. You can buy seal driving kits and everything else. And man, I'd love to have one, but they're pretty expensive. Home Depot in the plumbing section or gas section, whatever it was. It's pretty cheap. Hard part is finding washers that are, you know, big enough to go over the crankshaft. All right, so basically we got the seal just started in there so it's straight as possible. Washer, and then just tap. You don't have to go crazy here. We're just trying to get it to start in, and I try and get it in the center. Bam. Hear that, how it changed sound? That's when you know you got it bottomed out, the washer's bottomed out, and it's in. And that's it. All that cursing and fighting to get that friggin' flywheel off just for that. But c'est la vie. That's it. Put all this stuff away. And then it's just a matter, I'm not going to bother showing putting everything back together. I mean, it's just a matter of putting the flywheel back on, the coil on. Make sure you gap the coil to flywheel properly. Usually it's around, you know, 10,000ths of an inch is, you know, a pretty common flywheel gap. You go with that, or even, you know, the good old trick is, you know, a business card. You just slip that in there, turn the coil until the magnets are lined up with the coil and it pulls it together, but this keeps the gap, you know, what it should be. I have to measure this, but tighten down the coil, and then that's it. Actually, you know what? I'll probably do a video. I'll extend this video a little bit. We'll show this off running after we get it all put back together, because that would be cool. And I'd like to see the oiler working on it. So that's what we're doing. We're going to put everything back. All right, we're back together. We got the 36-inch bar on it. And I've got this cover. It's not a true P60 cover. It's a P61, clearly, as it's labeled. But it has the dual spikes, so you gotta love that. I do have the proper P60 cover. It's a chain brake, but it doesn't have the dual spikes. So I'm a sucker for full wraps and spikes. I think I'm gonna put that little cut in it, actually, when I was messing around with it here. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. I ran it without the bar on it, and it's oiling, so the automatic oiler is working as it should. I'm gonna go take it outside and fire it up. Man, they're just badass chainsaws. Just pretty sweet, you know? Canadian muscle chainsaw. Okay, we're gonna go fire this bad boy up. fully serviced, back in operating condition. Whether or not it needed it, went through all that pain just to do the oil seals. So this saw has had, what has it had now? Oil seals changed out, fuel line, you know, inner and outer, fuel filter. The carburetor was overhauled and rebuilt there. Found a problem with the SDC check valve. Different cover on it there now. Everything else is basically, you know, as it came. Great working saw. Awesome, you know, collector saw. Pioneer P60, 100 cc's, 36-inch bar. Go back on the shelf for now. Thanks for checking out these videos. Good luck with your oil seals.